So welcome again to another Healthy and Uplifted webinar. This is the second webinar for the year. Our topic for today is dating tips for couples and singles during the lockdown. This is an important topic because during the lockdown, most people are lonely, people are not able to date. So we're going to have a conversation. I am your host and co-moderator, Dr. Ebere Azuma. Our speakers come from all walks of life and even marital status. Before I introduce our speaker, February is Black History Month. So we wish everyone a happy Black History Month, and we hope this will be an opportunity for you to learn about influencers in the past, use it to reflect on what you would do to improve the lives of all Black people. One of our keynote speakers / co-moderator is Dr. Shola Eziokoli. Our next keynote speaker is Kevin Ferrari. He is the owner and founder of Prosperity U. Our next speaker is Dr. Kingsley Kavari. He's a graduate from the New York Chiropractic College in New York. Our master keynote speaker is Eric Payne. He is a storyteller. All right, I think it's important that we start this conversation with this meme. It says, love is deaf. You can't just tell someone you love them, you have to show it. Just remember that. Reflect upon it as we dive into our conversations. So now let's start with welcoming all of our keynote speakers, and then we will hand the presentation to Eric Payne as he leads this conversation.
I am honored, honestly. I'm honored to be here with all of you. I'm honored to be on the stage with all of the experts. I don't really consider myself to be an expert, to be perfectly honest with you. I am just a man with a testimony. As I said, I used to be a marriage and fatherhood blogger at makesmewannaholler.com. So, and it was 11 months between 2014 and 2015 that changed things for me forever, but created the person that's standing in front of you right now. So between November of 2014 and October of 2015, everything changed. I went from having pretty much everything as you call it, to having very little. So the story that I want to share is that you can't really make anyone do anything that they do not want to do. You cannot make anyone be anything that they don't want to be, no matter how much sense it makes to you. However, the one thing that you can do is control yourself. The ABCs of lockdown loving. So this is how we want things to be. This is how they start. You know, everything's exciting. Everything is fresh, everything is new. Love Jones just happens to be one of my favorite movies, but everything is fresh and brand new and exciting, and you can't get enough of each other. And it's just all unicorns, rainbows, roses, and sunshine. But then after a little bit of time, you know, a little bit of experience, a little bit of getting to know, and life gets in the way. And then this is ultimately where we end up, especially, you know, now that poll was fascinating because personal stories of friends of mine and family members and so on and so forth do not reflect those poll results. So I congratulate all of you. That is awesome. But this is more times than not what happens. There's one person feeling one way, another person feeling one way, and there's space. There's physical space, there is emotional space that separates both people, and they cannot meet. They can no longer meet in the middle. And the ultimate fear and sometimes the ultimate destination is here. You know, alone, frustrated, and then trying to figure out what happened. And I think for me, as someone who has been through something like this and someone who has dated with relative amount of success during the pandemic, I think where you have to begin this experience in trying to date during this unique and precedent-setting time is deciding what you want. So before you get into anything, the one thing I want, you know, if you're feeling bad about the times that you're going through, if you're feeling bad about anything that's happening in your life, the one thing that I want you to do is I want you to take a moment and I want you to breathe. I want you to smell the roses, and I want you to just take stock of what's going on in your life and give thanks and find the things to be grateful for, because there's so many things that we're here. We are here at an appointed time. We're here on purpose. If we weren't supposed to be here, we wouldn't be here. So breathe, relax, and know that it's going to be okay. And even if it's not okay right now, it's still okay. No matter how bad things may seem emotionally, relationship wise. You still have yourself, you still have your life. If you have family, you know, kids, so on and so forth, you have your occupation, because some people do not have that. And I'm not the type of person that believes in celebrating, you know, oh, it could be worse because it's worse for someone else. I just like to take stock of what's going on in my own life, and I like to be thankful for that. So smile, enjoy it all, the good and the bad. All there are no losses. Well, there are very few losses. Most of it is lessons.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Eric, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your transparency, sharing how difficult it was after your divorce, but how it molded you, evolved you into an amazing person, always willing to help people and giving us a 30-day challenge to smile. So I am very, very grateful. Now we are going to open the conversation with the other keynote speakers. So my first question will go to Dr. Kabari. Dr. Kabari, what does loving yourself first mean?
Well, loving yourself means first you have to know who you are. Okay, you have to identify, know who you are. You have to know why you are here. You have to know the value of you. And if you don't have any of this information, it will be kind of hard to appreciate yourself, and it will also be kind of hard to appreciate other people around you and build good relationships.
Thank you so very much for that presentation, Eric Payne. This was, thanks for sharing your heart, and thanks for sharing, your life. I find that a lot of times people want to put forth this perfect story, but nobody is perfect. No one's life is perfect. And when we, play at being perfect, then we don't draw others to us, because, who wants to work with a perfect person anyway? Now, women are told that they are picky for refusing to settle, especially women of African descent, at least women from my part of the world. The minute you're 27, first of all, they've told you your whole life not to look at boys, but then all of a sudden you're in your 20s and they're like, where's your husband? And they're told they're picky for refusing to settle. Now, what would you, as a man, and any of our panelists can answer this, as a man, what would you say to a woman who is under such pressure?
Many times, family will always mean well for you. They will always mean well, but they won't always be well for you, And so you have to take the good and the bad and the ugly and sort it out for yourself, and take pages out of whatever the book is that they have for you. A lot of times, people kind of ruin their lives trying to do the right thing, or trying to do what is considered good from their family or from their culture. You have to find out what works for you. And now you mentioned that you came from a culture where you're told to repel the opposite sex, and then once you reach a certain age, so you feel as though you're unprepared. In that aspect, the same amount of time that she spent repelling the opposite sex, she should take a little time to actually get to know the opposite sex before she starts engaging with them, in spite of the point she may be at in life and the biological clock and this, that, and the other, because you don't want your family making decisions for you. And I know some cultures that may be perpetual, like in the Indian culture with arranged marriages and things like that. But if you want to live the best life for you and not pleasing your parents or your family, then you have to move at your pace and do what works for you, and grit your teeth and bear. If they ask you, where's your husband? You just tell them, hey, I'm learning and I'm studying my husband. I'm the same way you study for a college degree. You should study the opposite sex to go into that profession.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to take it from here. And I would say, Dr. Kingsley Kabari, how should we prepare and study for the opposite sex? So the question is, what should we know?
I would like to elaborate on what everybody was saying, just a little bit more. Fruits are good for you, okay? They give you a lot of nutrients, what your body needs to function, to heal, grow, and so forth. We also know if you eat fruit before its appointed time, it will give you stomach ache. Okay? So you have to eat fruit at its appointed time. Getting ready for this webinar, I come across a book in the Bible, okay? The book of Proverbs, 24, 3 to 4. And just quick, and what it says is, through wisdom is an house builded, and by understanding it is established. And by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. So marriage is either marriage or relationship can be very complicated, because it's one of those things that you get a certificate before you start. Okay, before you have your doctor title, you go to school, you pass, you go through all kind of exams, lectures, and everything the school throws at you. Then they test you. Then if you pass and you qualify, then they give you the certificate. Marriage is not like that. Okay, marriage, they give you a certificate before you even start. So it is important that you have knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. What is wisdom? Is just applying knowledge. So if you can do this, a lot of mistakes can be made. And, I do understand that women do go through this pressure of, you're 20-something years old. Where's your husband? Where's your kid? Both in their 20s, 30s, and even 40s. But you have to know that just because you're older doesn't mean you have wisdom or knowledge. It's all about information. So what I would encourage everyone to do as part of this webinar is get some information, okay? If you buy the piece of equipment, you start running that equipment without reading the menu, without getting the information about it, there will be a lot of users' error, okay? And that equipment will not function like it should. And that is the way it goes with everything in life. So information, through knowledge, wisdom, which is through application and understanding. And that will help us to eliminate a lot of mistakes that are made in friendship, relationship, or marriage.
Thank you very much. So what you're saying, what I hear you say is learn, learn. And I do find that, like you said, that's the before marriage, when you marry, they give you a certificate. This is the certificate you get before you go to the school.
Yes.
And a lot of people think that as long as we're in love, everything will be all right. I was one of those people, trust me, but I've been married 16 years, so I've clearly learned one or two things along the way, just a few things. So that leads me to my next question to you, which is that, can you speak more about this whole, is love enough? They talk about being in love, which is, the romantic feelings, the sex, when I see him, I get butterflies in my stomach. When he touches me, I feel electricity in my pulses, blah, 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 blah. So can you speak more about that?
No, love and sex does not keep marriage together. Love and sex does not keep relationship together, because at times you run into people that are divorced and they will say, I love him or I love her, but what happened? He's a beast or he's something, and why did you leave? So what keeps relationship together, any relationship, marriage, is again, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. There's something that I wrote, I would like to read. Marriage is the only school where you get the certificate before you start. It is also a school where you will never graduate. It is a school without a break or free period. It is a school where no one is allowed to drop out. It is a school you will have to attend every day of your life. It is a school where there is no sick leave or holidays. It is a school funded by God. On the foundation of love, the walls are made out of trust. The door made out of acceptance. The windows are made out of understanding. The furniture made out of blessings. The roof made out of faith. Be reminded that you are just a student and not the principal of the school. God is the only principal. Even in the times of storms, don't be unwise, run outside. Keep in mind that this school is the safest place to be. Never go to sleep before completing your assignment for the day. Communicate with your classmate and with the principal. If you find out something in your classmate that you do not appreciate, remember your classmate is also just a student, not a graduate. God is not finished with him or her yet. So take it as a challenge and work on it together.
Yeah, that is just amazing. Kevin, I would like you to jump in and talk about, from a single person's perspective, what is the benefit of finding the right one?
Well, the young lady asked, what is love enough? It's called a relationship, not a love ship. It's called being married. It's not called being loved. So, I mean, love naturally brings people together. You know, it bonds people, but it brings them together, but it's not what keeps them together. And so being single and finding the right one, it's not necessarily it's not something magical, as we tend to have romanticized in Western as well as most other cultures. It's more so of finding who works for you and what situation works for you at that point in your life. You have to be very pragmatic about your personal life, just as you are about your occupational life.
I like the fact that you threw out the Western, right? The Western fairy tale, right, says that it's an it, right? There is no it. You know, people say, well, it's not working. Well, who's it? Two people have to do the work. I think that's a cop-out when you put it on the relationship. It's not working. Two people create a relationship. Two people foster a relationship. Two people work towards a relationship. But it's hammered into us, at least over here on this side of the world, through all the fairy tales that have been rejiggered by Disney, that love cures everything, right? You kiss the person and they turn from a frog into a princess. You kiss a person and they reanimate. And then the movie ends. You don't see day 2, 3, 4. You know what I mean? You see the start of it and you just figure it's happily ever after. But that's not what it is. It's work. And that love is a verb. And that work is what keeps the lights on when the storms come, So I think it requires work and it requires study. During the pandemic, and then I'm done, so many people hawking business courses, all these courses, course after course after course. But if you ask somebody to do, I'm not painting with a broad brush, but I think because of the romance factor that everyone wants, they don't want to be mechanical about the mechanics, the study of love and relationships. Oh, that's going to take the fun out of it. That's going to take the work. That's going to take the relationship out of it. Or that's going to take the romance out of it. I don't want to work like that. I want to be in all the feels. The feels pass. And then what are you going to do? You don't have a foundation to fall back on.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up for Q&A. So Fatamata.
Hi, everyone. Actually, it's not a question. I just want to add up to what, this is my first time here. Before you go into any relationship, whether it's married or just dating, you must to discover who you are, because that will help you, especially in the times of marriage. Because just like the other person, you get married, like it's a place you will never graduate. As soon as you go there, it's going to be hard for you to turn back. So the moment you discover who you are, that will help you to give you a good partner. And the other thing I'm going to say, you got to love yourself first, because some people, they do not love themselves. You can't give what you don't have.
All right, I like to leave with different quotes so that we can reflect. And this says, my mom always told me to replace the word love with my man's name. And if it's not accurate, he is not the one. So replace your man's name with any verb called love. For example, Shola is patient, Shola is kind. Thank you again for all your support. Please go to our YouTube channel to watch previous webinars. We have so many information to share. You can follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and just keep in touch, because we love providing community education to you all. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.